there was another team that tried to use it before and then switched out. That was Energy that tried to use it most recently, and then switched out to like the old Oxygen, or sorry, the old Shopify MXS comp, which is using a couple of flashes. That said, the double controller is very, very strong on this map. Very difficult to deal with if you don't have enough reps against this. And I don't think WADA is a team that gets a lot of reps against a double controller, so it could be something difficult to deal with at the very beginning.
WADA came out of the last map with both pistol wins. Being able to kick things off on defense on that time too, and they'll do the same here. And with all the Sentinels, there's a lot of chance to delay things, and it's good for WADA to start off on defense. As SRG want to set the pace, going over to A, having their Viper wall kind of fake things out on B. They got a lot of attention from WADA on the left side. They'll leave Dodonut behind to collect if they do decide to press their luck. Oh, that harbor wall at the back is going to be trapping Femboy and Starbound. And then you got that lurk from Dodonut. Eventually, Juna pressed forward. It was a big find from Dodonut. So it keeps WADA really anchored on that left side, while the rest of WADA kind of react to that harbor wall that was thrown out.
Winners want to wait another 30 seconds here because the high tide coming down, it's not going to be as easy for them to cross.
Strike down A.
Hey, Sarah now just swinging against two. Oh, wait! It's pulling off the 1v2. Okay, there was some help at the end. SRG took their time to scale up. Even the harbor wall expired. WADA had rotated in, and SRG just go back to their fundamentals. They plant, now play farther back from main. WADA to have their Viper wall set up, but not a Viper to use it, so Astralis will have to push without any advantages. And now you have all these angles from SRG,
oh my God!
And Power Pixel A just picks off all three? What?
No way they just did that with the Red Bull clutch.
Is nice now and then. Thank you.
Dude, that is... Dude, if we were sponsored by anybody else, like Aimblads, Pulsar, I don't know, just call that the flick of the day for sure. To be able to get that first pick on the top of the North Tower and then swing down to continuously headshot on the other two. You just talked about good fundamentals on the side of SRG, and I was going to say, that's the perfect call. And that play that they just did on a 3-2-1 swing, that was also another perfect play. But somehow Power Pixel A comes huge and gets a 3K on the end for WADA to win the pistol and just knock the wind out of the sails of SRG for the second round. Force on only classics, not even forcing up stingers despite a spike plant. And they want to leverage better weapons in round number 3.
I swear, WADA, their clutch gene factor, whatever it is, has been programmed well. From Juna, so many memories on Split, to now Power Pixel A on the pistol. Is WADA have to hold back the forces of SRG. We now have some of their Viper or harbor walls to kind of split up WADA in half, but SRG not getting any big advantages as the pistol. And Juna goes for a flank. That gets shut down, and that gives over a rifle, or at least a better gun, to SRG.
Yeah, that's a misclick or a mistiming here from Juna. When you realize that the action is very slow, it's a great call for SRG to just stop and punish the flank. And you see what happens after. They're forcing players to fall back because you think you rotate back towards the B site. Now you have a chance for SRG to move through here towards A.
Well, SRG thought they could just overwhelm them with pistols and did a lot of damage. I mean, you deny 3 weapons into the bonus if you're SRG, and I don't think they even went for the gun that was left there by Juna. And the front end, and you got Starbound, who's always a menace on the outlaw, on the op, whatever it is. But SRG are really funny with their timings on their swings, and Dodonut has to choose this carefully at 8 HP. It does get the win against Starbound. Not a single bullet stray, and catches Astralis on the climb up. The Red Bull clutch this time goes the way of SRG.
There had to be a call coming out from WADA saying that the last player has only 8 HP. So you already saw it from the X-ray. Starbound switched out over to a classic, trying to move forward and just try to land one classic shot. But why not stay together to guarantee the trade when a spike is being planted? you could actually just go for the tap, force your opponent to come back against you. You guarantee your trade at that point no matter what, and then you could actually move forward to a 2-0 scoreline. There's a lot of micro mistakes. We just talked about the punishment onto Juna, weakening down the A site anchor towards that back, and they already had 4 players at the very beginning on that side. But with Juna dying, 2 players had to rotate out to watch middle, to watch B, and SRG is able to get what they just did. Donut going for the hero play and allowing SRG to tie up the game and easily take, well, I'm not gonna say too easily, but should easily take the next round.
Oh, not a power pick. You would think, oh, such an easy round. 3 versus 1, then there's power pixel A, and just the immediate cascade into the scale up from SRG, even using shock bolts to make sure WADA don't early walk up on them. And now it's just been a battle of vision. The Power Pixel A may have had a surprise, and WADA pistols up close. The classic right clicks can still really hurt. Mel, the timing on the swing against Astralis. It's everything. Waits for everyone to be in position too. Pinging how they're going to get around this tower side. With the ice wall expiring, Mel uses the harbor wall to almost get out in time.
No
as
way.
WADA could be pulling off yet another thrifty. This is so insane. How many do they have? Oh my
bad, chat. That's a casting curse on my side
Yeah.
if you're an SRG fan, but yeah, that was insane how that was held out. I mean, what can you ask more? They're just players playing inside smokes, behind smokes, and just getting random right clicks, and it comes out on their favor. Again, another one of those rounds where you just count a bit of luck, and then you'll take that luck and take the round, and you go back and forth. This time around, though, going into this into round number 4, there is at least a bit of hero rifles in Donut and Noya, and who better than those 2 players to try to open things up, because you know that the aim is going to be crisp on both of these players. Noya used to play a duelist and plays the Senti role like a duelist.
Here. Didn't Noya get an ace or like almost an ace on the split? Like everyone for this whole SRG team is so well rounded. Now the Owl drones are gonna cross. And you know the Sentis are set up at the back there for WADA. The second floor comes out. SRG are really committed to this A site take despite all of this disruption as Mel finds herself on the high ground, unable to clean up what seemed to be such an easy kill. But Sarah turns out the positions with good shock bolts. Now with the harbor wall at the back and cascades being thrown out, SRG are trying to be proactive on the immediate retake from WADA, but a door left unchecked. Starbound gets their one. Not enough of an impact to make this easy for someone like Juna in a 1 versus 3. Alexis has a sheriff. You got a high-low on the right. Juna's going to try and split that up with a molly. Knows Alexis could swing on any moment, so this is just not going to be possible for Juna. At least gets the 1, 7 HP. Now SRG have to think about also leaving while Juna wants to save the rifle.
Both of them will have to save, and Donut and Noya, the last 2 players remaining, are the last 2 players that had rifles going to this round for SRG, and were the 2 players that actually got the openings on the side of Shopify. Very nicely done on that side. Of course, we couldn't really see the shots. Thank you, Prius, for missing those. But you still see the value that those rifles came into the round for SRG. That said, though, that I think things might finally start calming down into, like, you know, back to a norm. Because you're moving into round number 5. You have a pretty decent rifle round for both of the teams. There's only Astralis that has a very low buy. And I'd like to see WADA to actually try to push forward a little bit more and try to take control of this orb. Because if Starbound picks up the ult here, it could give a chance for the defensive side to play double ult. But that is also the reason why you have SRG playing double controller. That type of scaling that you currently see, that's what's the strong point of this composition of SRG. It's so good at denying space early in the round by the orb.
Oh, WADA just not able to get as much information off their owl drone. It got shot down so quickly, so they just kind of go for preemptive Hunter's Fury. Knowing SRG, they harbor wall up, it's tall, and they get more vision off of Sarah's owl drone. Like SRG had the information advantage, and you just have not been able to flank against SRG. That's been so well checked, this time by Noya, who has the turret behind. We'll have to maybe face off against Astralis. I don't imagine Astralis would want to push with just the sheriff. So SRG, I think, one step at a time, have the advantage, and you can go for another spike plan unless Femboy gets a huge headshot on the Dodo Nut. That's insane. With the Vandal is going to hold that corner too. Now SRG have to walk into a scary line of sight, but Astralis just couldn't support Femboy well enough.
30 seconds.
So SRG eventually find angles around his defenses, but have been cut down too much to continue thriving.
Dude, so far WADA has been doing a very good job anchoring and fighting against this util from SRG. Yeah, they're maybe losing like these flank. At least it was a nice attempt by Juna because she did play an off angle, hurt the turret, and is hoping for players to walk into her crosshair. But I mean, you're playing against Noya in the duels. It's very hard to win. You have to be on point to make sure you land your shots. But WADA inside the sites, they're not afraid of the phase 2 scaling that I like to call it here. That this composition is really good in doing for Shopify Rebellion Gold. Let's section the walls off the harbor wall, the orb that you have from the Viper, and then you start moving in as a team. You're isolating players inside the site, but WADA is not afraid to play within these walls, to spray through the walls to fight back too, and getting good value out of it. And mind you, WADA has been playing this competition, as I say, no duelists. I mean, I'm going to hold that thought. SRG is currently rushing inside the same site.
Hold that thought, SRG are holding the site too. And made sure to just use more forward util to drown out Femboy, because that was a big problem for SRG to deal with before. Now you got a Viper Spit from Mel to cover the spike. This is going to be so hard for WADA to break through. Starbound been problematic with the off. Now tries to get vision. Noya is just the bodyguard, 5 HP. I don't know how everyone keeps living with like single-digit HP. As Juna go inside the pit to deny that, but the lockdown is going to push WADA completely out, and this is time that WADA can't afford. They feel like they were forced to play that against the lockdown, but weren't going to be able to find it because of the pit, and now because of time, yeah, you're right, they'll have to save.
Yeah, you're mentioning it's crazy how so many of these players are surviving with so low HP. We saw Mel earlier on at 1 HP in one of the maps, Noya now at 5. But overall, at least the silver lining for WADA is that they forced out 2 goals on the side of Shopify Rebellion Gold. I don't think they were expecting to having to waste the lockdown on that side on the post plan. So a small little dub coming through, and it could still have a pretty decent buy going to the round. Because remember, Starbound got a pick. They now have a Tilda Fuss available, and they can go on double alt on the on the defense if they wanted to. But instead, it's Power Pixelay with a Guardian, so that Femboy could go with a Vandal shot. They could be a lot more aggressive this round as well, because Femboy has an ult to work with and go for a res, which is why you're currently seeing Starbound on top of the generator. A great way to try to pick out towards that phase 1 scaling up towards A site.
Here.
SRG being able to get their util deeper the side has really forced WADA out, and it's been good, but
yeah, sorry, they Sage Wall boost on top of that to make sure that Starbound could even get a better angle on the top of pipes. So that's allowing you to get a very good value and very good information, but instead the read that they have, despite that attempt, is unfortunately wrong. All of SRG are currently working towards a B-side hit.
The first time we've seen the B-side, it felt like SRG. Things very well set up, especially with just the Viper back here and the Hunter's Fury to just hang anyone. And I swear that almost clipped them at the end. Juna takes some damage, gets healed up by Femboy. Now you got a drone coming through the mid-cut too from Power Pixelay, but not seeing really much. SRG is going to be on this yellow box, and Starbound's up, has to get some sightlines, and it's just being completely denied by smokes. And then mid-cut being just trounced on by Noya, who's a fantastic backstab against WADA, and now limits the options and the angles that WADA can take. And just all these smokes, Harbor, Viper, everything is denied any activation of Starbound, and a flawless round comes out of SRG. I'm just cycling that vision denial so much.
Yeah, and now you have 2 rounds that are fairly clean here from Shopify Rebellion Gold. One using 2 ults to guarantee the round, but then the previous round was actually quite nice in terms of the execution. Especially when it comes down to the gamble play that you're trying to set up towards the A site with the continuous amount of rounds that Shopify has been hitting towards A. They've done such a good job conditioning WADA on the A site hits that they go for the Hail Mary hit B, and WADA was just not ready for that one. And the composition that we talked about for SRG being so good to execute towards the A site, it's very similar towards B. It's so good to section out portions of the map to allow for you to just scale it into mid scales rather to get into the B site for the plant and fight, and just play a very good pulse plant towards the end. And if it wasn't for Noya with the great lurks, well, WADA maybe could have had a chance coming back from the spawn.
And then what does WADA do from here? Because I feel like when it comes to the 5-person retake for A, that's just been way too difficult, especially if Mel and Alexis are still up. You just cannot get any vision on the site, so you have to play prevention duty there. But then if you stack too much on A and you leave B open, SRG had a complete lockdown and just fortressed up B. So it's going to be tough to see how WADA can divide themselves. I think maybe the only thing to change is how they are going to wrap around through mid into B, which that was a really good double kill out of Noya to deny that out of WADA. But going forward, see what WADA thought of in their timeout.
Yeah, I think right now they're going to be a little bit more defaulty in their positioning. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 2-1-2, but I think you would have to have your most confident shooter to play that middle to fight against Noya. That said, though, they only have a Guardian to work in this round. That's in the hands of Femboy as SRG goes back to try to do the hit towards the A site.
Oh, you don't get to see Donut just dash in and cause that much ruckus that early. SRG have really scaled up well as a team. You got a safe plant going thanks to the Cove, and WADA find themselves on the back foot with Sheriffs as well. So this will be SRG really stacking their economy as well. Like, they're so insanely rich. So WADA really hope to have an impact in their or do anything to their economy, but that may be why they're gonna test the waters here, especially with Starbound on the high ground and actually striking through the heart of Alexis. Unfortunately, the rest of WADA will be farming orbs to SRG. Deny one weapon, I guess.
Yeah. You talked about the money being very strong for SRG. So you just want to try to make sure that, you know, you do a little bit of damage and try to keep it as low as possible, so you try to start a comeback if you can. But that said, we're looking at the setup. This seems to be a 1-2-2 instead, but still leveraging this op from Starbound. And I was going to mention maybe they're trying to go for the wall boost once again, because it wasn't spotted a couple of rounds before. But it seems as it changes a bit. I wonder if they're going to wall up and go towards L. That's exactly where Femboy is going. No walls needed, but the Nanostorm pushes them away, and unfortunately they can't take control of pipes.
SRG feeling like their flank could be vulnerable, so having Mel invested in that too, instead of trying to get mollies forward a little less to drown out WADA from these positions that have been tough before. But once the flank has been cleared, SRG have their sights set forward with Noya on flank watch. Harbor wall is up to see kind of what panic you can cause, what pressure you can create, and the WADA camp. Do they know about this off though? SRG to be really careful how they push this, because there's so much delay from the double slow orbs to, you never know what kind of, who could be standing on a sage wall. So I don't blame SRG for hesitating a bit.
Yeah. Right now for WADA, they're still going for a one setup. I mean, everything's clean to watch towards middle, to watch towards tube. And the other one's just jiggling here. Juna's playing the position to see if there's going to be an execution towards his B site. So it's smart so far from WADA to stay anchored up towards A. We've mentioned how good they've been anchoring on A site in these gruesome battles.
SRG were really expecting WADA to make the move first, and now SRG set their pawns forward for a take, and so at the top of the tower, Femboy's gonna be an issue, and Sarah with a quick flick, and now it's a bloodbath, 13 seconds, and Alexis still has the plant, and WADA could prevent it, but Starbound at 5 HP hesitates and wants to play their life as best as they can. And now with the walk up, but the gun is so large, and he's spotting Donut, and it's just Juna at the back. Now SRG double the score of WADA and hope to close out the series.
Missing a little bit of communication in terms of Juna being too far back to be able to meet up with Starbound to enter towards the A site together. It just feels like Starbound, I mean, I'm not going to blame them, right? They've been so confident, really good in these moments to catch players off guard, and thought they might be able to get one towards the default plant after the harbor plant from Alexis, but didn't expect Donut once again after the dash inside the dice towards the back to get value out of the jet play. By the way, I finally have a chance to mention this. WADA is playing a composition that Fnatic has used back in 2022. So the no duelist comp triple ZP, very good at stalling, but so far, unfortunately, hasn't been good at stalling for the second wave hits of Shopify Rebellion Gold in the A site.
There's more of a flank forming from WADA, something that Noya hasn't seen much of and hasn't been as wary. But now with the turret taken out, Noya's on the prowl, while the rest of SRG get the objective done with the harbor wall in place. It's been quite a secure offensive run for WADA. So with the triple senti, WADA, they can protect, but they can't attack as well. Not with Alexis on the forefront. A flawless round at that for SRG. They're really online.
Yeah, and unfortunately no weapons to work with to answer back here on the side of WADA. And I'd like to see it this time around. Try to go for that wall boost and try to get Starbound up on that spot. But I think the other reason why they're not doing it anymore is because SRG, whenever they're doing that phase 1 scale, and I like to call this phase 1 because you're doing Cascade, Shock Dart, Snake Bite, right towards the orb. You're denying pushes towards the defensive side, and you're also mauling on the top of pipes. But nobody's taking position of those pipes right after that push. So it doesn't make sense to have your opera up there to walk towards the top. But they are trying it this time again. But actually, you see somebody jump the clouds. Oh yeah. Oh, it missed. It missed, unfortunately.
Lockdown ensues for SRG, and although the corner could have been held there by Starbound from the rafters, deciding to just be completely out, not wanting to take any risks. And SRG have the vision blocked out too with the harbor wall, denial on the owl drone, delay too from the KJ Molly, and okay, WADA are trying to force them back, and it's just not working out with the harbor ult that was thrown from SRG. WADA frag well at the front door, like it's more even than I thought it would be, and if anything, WADA are starting to get advantages, but shutting down Starbound. They really need to support them so much better because Starbound's always good for one, but what else? Juna is left to pick up the pieces and clutch once again for the team.
And you kind of wish that's what happened in like round number 3 when Donut was able to get that dash kill and then the 1v2 win. This time you see that scale moving in as a group from WADA, just off Alexis when she tries to jiggle back on that side. Lands a beautiful shot onto one player, but gets immediately traded out. Imagine what that scoreline, what the story would have been here for WADA against SRG going into round number 12. It could have been much more different because they could have snowballed better economy against SRG, who were on a classic pistol. It would have snowballed some economy on that side. Unfortunately, it wasn't the story. It was SRG able to get that clutch and now keeping the lead by 3 for the last round. We're going to fuel, not versus off.
Early pit. I like that call because I swear to God, the A side has been hit 99% of the time. So,
and 90% of the time, it worked every time, just like Anchorman would say, right?
Yeah, right. SRG have a good lead going on too until WADA snapped that win streak. It was a 4-round win streak for SRG and still very rich. Now you have to completely ignore the pit, so wish WADA did a bit more to get eyes around B. They're kind of leaving it completely open, really worried about this Viper wall.
Yeah, I mean, they should be okay to play retake too. Power Pixel has Fury. I don't think they want to try to delay, but I mean, it looked pretty good until Astralis decided to leave her teammate into the B site. There were 2 players there to work together, and unfortunately, not good enough.
Hunter's Fury versus Hunter's Fury. There's so much. There's a lot. Thank you so much for that. So many colors. But only one spike gets planted, and SRG just get to hang back. It's just kind of an uncomfortable hold from WADA when it comes to this B side of how to address these Viper walls, these harbor walls. And WADA's looked better drilled about their A approach. And SRG just playing off the open sight lines and way to flank from Juna. It's going to cause some issues. Now comes through the mid-cut to help support Starbound because they're about to get pushed by like 4 members of SRG. And Juna starts to even up those numbers, but the spike is ticking down. So there's not really much more that WADA can do except go into the second half 4-8.
And Mel had 4 kills in a round as well. Finally finding something less boring than throwing walls up in orbs. It's just joins the team into a fight and puts up big numbers rather. And now in the second half, you have WADA on the attack side. Again, it may seem on paper that playing no duelists for an icebox map might be troll or might be difficult for you to get into sites, but you don't really need to dash as much. You don't really need to go for satchels to create space because the Viper is the most crucial component for you to be able to scale up on the B side, and your Sage is what's going to be on paper helping you to be able to get some good wall plants. And that said, with Starbound playing with the TP, you can get some actually elevation position to play the pulse plants and to get some space as well. So it actually works out quite well. We have a tech pause showing up right now because I think we have Pansy in the chat as well. So thank you very much, Pansy, for gracing us with your presence.
Oh, don't stutter in front of her. Lock in.
I know. Dude, I was intimidated by Lauren. That said, though, it's we do have word that it's unfortunately a fire alarm, so we're just gonna wait for everything to cool down, literally, and then we can continue on here with the matchup.
Yeah, I've been through some fire alarm cases at a LAN. Once a fire alarm went off, and casters didn't know what to do, so we just kind of kept going. Thankfully, online, it's a lot easier to signal who you need to get to, but.
Yeah, that's nice.
Well, 8-4, super solid out of SRG. I think WADA now on the attack. They've been very successful at pistols before. If WADA can lead off with a pistol win, this would give me vibes. It would give them the aura to get, I think, a comeback going where they could tie things up.
Yeah, second half killers we were talking about, right? This time it's WADA started on the second half on the attack side, and it's what we're just talking about here. You have a Viper wall up on the B side. The orb allows Yuna to scale up a bit, but still, the 4-1 is on the lead. You don't need the Viper to help you out for the A side plant. It's just a Sage to try to open things up. The thing is, though, you're given a spike under Power Pixel. They might have some sort of game plan to try to leverage as many Hunter's Furies as possible here in the second half, as they're just waiting for the timing off the double wall to come down, and that's very hard to deal with on this map, with this composition too. As soon as this harbor wall comes down, the Viper wall that comes up.
An arrow to the head, unfortunately, does not get kills in Valorant, but we're not expecting WADA to be that close timing. Unfortunate for SRG, as WADA able to scale up. Okay, Juna can't go on no crazy flanks. Good shutdown from Noya, and she'll group back up with Mel on the other side. It's on this Viper wall. Lexus definitely wants to make WADA isolated, uncomfortable, and Femboy, a couple of right clicks, ends Mel. Still a disadvantage that SRG can't even get the spike halfway. The time is limited. The smoke starts to come down. Noya can't do much more in a 1v3, so another pistol goes the way of WADA.
Okay, so it looks like it's very practiced here for WADA as well. When you have these walls coming up on the side, you probably just have to have your Sage to be on point to understand the angle that you could try to get these slanted walls to be placed down by the generator all the way towards 410. So you could somewhat do a pixel plant if you could. That said, when they did that, there was still a bit of a gap that whoever was playing up towards the A tower could get some good damage onto. But it seems like they got caught off guard, and then both of the players inside the A side for Shopify just got dropped. That's something here that Shopify off that first round will have to keep in mind.
Oof. These offensive slow orbs from Femboy have been so good. Like, SRG can't walk up and fight for the orb, and if they do, they're just caught in the open with easy shots from WADA. But wait, Donona is just around the corner, decides to fall back as soon as you just hear any kind of outlaw ringing across the map. So I respect SRG to take a more, at least a more unified approach. They're gonna step up now with this squad, and Power Pixel just rains from above. A big triple kill and a spike plant, and then it just has to go down with the ship.
Yeah, trying to do their little Asuna cosplay. Power Pixel just repels across and doesn't need a drop, but just drives by with the Spectre to get a 3K and a plant. And look at that. Already very close to a Hunter's Fury. Noyam pushing through, sees one barrel sticking out. Here's the footsteps from Power Pixel. Doesn't want to go for the shot.
Finished.
Okay.
That was clean.
Oh, 4 for Power Pixel. That's cleaner too. Only carrying 3 into the bonus. Still good, because I think just being able to close the gap in the score is the name of the game for WADA, and to build up an economy, because that's how SRG felt like tilted the scales in the later parts of that first half, was just, I don't know, having 3,000 or 4,000 credits per player and just being able to buy whatever they want.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good here on how clean the pushes have been for WADA in that anti-eco, but it seems as though Icebox is back into the hit A simulator on both sides. And then again, it's just simple conditioning coming out on the side of both teams on their attack sides. At some point, you're probably going to see a call coming out from WADA to hit towards B, and hopefully SRG bites into the, oh wait, we got to stack towards this A site every time. But so far, so good. A bonus round out for WADA. Starbound still with an outlaw. And scaling up. They're going to be the pivotal point to try to get entry so far, leading towards L.
SRG have laid their trap with all this KJ util right at the plant spot. Letting WADA just walk in, but it's a little too quiet. They have heard the drop down there from Noya, so WADA have a sense that the defenders have left the area. And what Juno can do on the flanks, on the lurks, is something SRG also have to mark and dedicate some players to. And a close call. Gets there the sniper of Starbound. Now breaking down the wall. SRG try to hold their own. Noya against the world. Doesn't care about the util. Cares only about what's in front of her. Our president goes 2 for 1, but Starbound matches it. Blow for blow, leaving Juno on a 1v2. And SRG do not know where they are. Know that they're probably on some kind of mid flank or mid lurk, so it's a good read for SRG. 18 seconds. You got kind of a high-low setup from Donut and Noya. 8 HP in a dream. Plus a turret that Juno has to try and clip down. Just feeds Noya the last kill. 9 to 6.
That was so unfortunate because PowerPixel and should I say Starbound did a great job to get picks there with the outlaw on that Jenny. But when they tried to scale up, when they actually surprised one player towards the back of the side of SRG, you swung with the spike without waiting for your teammates. Your teammates still throwing nanoswarms on the top of the catwalk, and you never timed the 3-2-1 swing towards the back. And allowed here for Shopify to just really fled back from the back of the A area and not give a chance here to get any value out of Juno's lurk. And that could have been a little bit more different. A bonus could have been converted there for WADA, but now SRG, room to breathe. In the lead now by 3. Big gun round for both of the teams. As it might force the eco for the losing team.
There's the 100 Fury off Barry down just to keep SRG on their toes, look for pings. I don't think got much, but Donut starts off with first blood off of Yellow Box, which WADA is going their direction. See if Alexis can support this well too. Had already used the first wall off the rip just to slow down WADA, maybe let Donut get into this hidden position. Based on this forward smoke too, WADA may be split off. They really have to time this well when they cross it, because they could be walking right into Donut's sightline and just the ponytail of Femboy off the top of the box. Donut, second one of the round.
And you have to give up, but the turret's going to see you on middle, so that's going to force players to be a little bit more weary. And you already see the reposition from Sarah, looking back towards Boiler. The other one's looking back towards Kitchen. The positioning is very nice from Shopify, and that's all off the back of clean shots out from Donut.
That's one I wanted to see more of how you can really take control of this middle, wrap around through B, or I guess through the backside of A. I guess having a read that SRG are more stacked on the left side of the map. 8 seconds left. Plant goes through, and Noya's hanging around, and WADA aren't aware of this. So what kind of backstab can Noya can create? Starbound playing pretty deep, hoping to cut off the rotations from the B side. The third win for Donut, but the wraparound for PowerPixel could have done so much more if it wasn't for that pesky jet smoke. But either way, a bit split from each other. Astralis could catch SRG on their walk-in. I guess it's the volley that's going to give Astralis the third kill. Just Noya in a 1 versus 2. Wrapping around, expecting someone to sit in the cove. Now knows where that last member is. Astralis couldn't get it halfway. Time running out. Astralis with a big round under their belt.
Both KJs on both ends. Unluckiness out of Noya, but a big round coming out from Astralis. because of the position I was calling. Super clean from Shopify. They had everything in hand to watch and react to where the next hit would be coming out here from WADA, who played the contact play up towards Boiler. But unfortunately, Sarah was a little bit too far out and nobody was there to trade against her. And Noya's trying to play around the Viper wall that's being thrown up here by Mel so that she could try to find some sort of opening. But she misses all that time as she's flanking around. When she goes back to her screens, her teammates are already getting kills. And then Astralis slips through the net and is able to touch that one for the team. Very nicely done. And somehow there's a classic kill onto Starbound on a 3-player stack on the east side from Shopify.
Just good adaptation from SRG. Once you see that slower from Femboy, you know WADA are going to swing off of that. And SRG were just ready for it this time. Got the Owl drone exploring A while this lurk from Juna continues to find value, and it's going to wrap all the way behind SRG if they're not careful. As WADA will join Juna on their adventures, and Juna's killing SRG in their own spawn. This is so problematic. And just a good sheriff shot from Alexis ends Juna's deeper run around Snowman. Now the plant goes through, and SRG still have to kind of clear and scale up properly because of that conditioning of Juna. 3 versus 2 retake.
Thankfully, there's a lockdown. That could be the silver lining right now for WADA to try to salvage this round, because what can you do when the shots are so clean from Shopify?
This lockdown is going to be kept safe, but it's not as deep as maybe WADA would have wanted, so SRG are right around the corner. As Donut up drafts almost gets shot down off the yellow box. Good check in the peek from Astralis on the spike, and just the small gaps that Donut finds to give SRG the thrifty and up to double digits.
That is so nice, and thankfully Mal is the one that's still alive. She was the one pushing down towards middle. If she dropped, there wasn't going to be a snake hunt. There wasn't going to be any poison orb, which would allow the 2 rifles to maybe answer back on what was so crazy by SRG. Yes, they got the kill up to Starbound. I was like, wait, Donut got a classic headshot kill at that range? But I didn't realize that there was so many players from Shopify with Sheriffs in a high-low stack doing so much damage, because not only did it take down Starbound, they also put Power Pixelated down to 5 HP and forcing Femboy to come back and go for the heal and then miss time to rotate back towards the B side that Mel gets good value out of it. Well, why are we going to do the same thing on the side of WADA? Of course we will, right? Mel's down to 5 HP now.
The single-digit HPs, man. Just Guardian Angel, and well, Starbound almost got above SRG at that moment, knowing Mel is still hanging around. Starbound reacts well to not expose themselves, so WADA scaling up, but Donut is still going to be a problem, and guess what? Now she has an op on yellow box, so this was what single-handedly ruined WADA's day last round.
With the Vandal this time to op in. We've been a little bit more careful this time around. At least there's a drone to clear her out of position. Starbound gets a beautiful lurk kill. This might give an opportunity for a bit.
Oh, almost a good reaction from Starbound. And Boy heals up. Lexus gets a win. You denied mid, you denied B. So SRG, they have to wrap around through A because AJ Util's now gone, and they're going to use a lockdown to reinforce A, knowing this is where WADA are going to go, and now abandoning the plant, using the Hunter's Fury to deal with the lockdown. Femboy will continue to plant. That's one win condition gone from SRG, and Sarah finds Power Pixelate the perfect moment. Femboy escapes in time. Shock bolts reveal no one close. And SRG begin their break in 3 versus 3 with just Sheriffs on the other side for WADA. At least Tuna set up for success by Femboy. The defuse will get halfway. How much more? As WADA will have to step up to prevent it. It's just Astralis and can't do much more. 11-7. Close to the end of the series for SRG.
Yeah, at least a pretty decent eco there coming out from WADA. Beautiful picks coming out from the Sheriff as well. The Hunter's Fury was actually being used to deny the plant coming out from WADA, and you needed Power Pixelate to push up and break the lockdown with the Guardian. If not, it was going to be a round loss here a lot more quickly for WADA because it would have been forced out of position, and SRG would be already out on the outskirts of the A site to be able to flood retake into A. That said, though, they did some good damage, forced out 2 ults. We'll take it on a side here of WADA. Op versus Op missed on both ends, but at least identified for both teams.
Yeah, SRG confronting that mid approach. Knowing WADA aren't going to go for it again. Leaving Mel in a worse spot. Trying to change things up and support B. She's been that big playmaker and WADA marked her well. And when it rains, it pours. Now 2 kills for WADA. You at the back to worry about. Sarah and Noya fall too. And they're able to put a scratch into WADA. Well, this is something Alexis has to overcome on her own in a 1 versus 3. Oh, you just spotted the haircut there, Femboy off the ice wall. That was quite lucky for Alexis. Not able to climb up the tower either. KJ, you just spotted the first swing. Where's the second? Alexis just dealing. Be able to maybe get the defuse halfway. Oh, the shots are on the other side. Knows the Juna approach is there. Goes for the 1v1 win, but Juna's quicker. Alexis doubted herself, and another clutch comes out of Juna to save WADA.
Oh my gosh. She had all the util too. Couldn't even get it halfway, but was just expecting somehow that her opponent was going to be so close to just walk through. I mean, she already identified them. Juna was playing towards the orb. Playing against, I think it was Femboy on the other side of Dice by the A tower. Gets a beautiful shot on the first one, and I feel still had time to at least bring it to half, to think that the timing of somebody's going to walk through the double smoke to try to take her down. But she doubted herself, tried to play the fake, tried to play the time, and it was going to be a split second, and if she waited another second, Juna would have walked through. She would have won that fight, but instead it's Juna with the clutch on the 1v1, and Juna providing great value on the lurks this time around in the previous rounds on the attack. You remember, Jen, we were mentioning how Juna had struggles to try to flank on the defensive side. But on the attack side, with how she's moving around the map, she's bringing great value into WADA's focus to just look forward and go for the 4-player site hits, either on A or B here.
And you got a Hunter's Fury on the attack, an offensive op from Starbound, Juna with the pit. This feels like a very strong round for WADA if they can get planted and in a situation for a post-plant. All depends on what SRG can do to deny. We're Melis 2 off the pit, but won't be able to let her rip off with barriers being down, so hoping to stack as much as they can on the A side. And on a save, I guess the silver lining is how many ults can SRG bring out of WADA on a... You would think they would lose with the triple high-low, I guess. Sarah's the victim.
Fool me once, but not this time around. Goes for the swing and an instant kill. And that high-low, the surprise that came a few rounds ago on Shopify's Eco, not this time around.
WADA begin with first pick and aren't going to use the Hunter's Fury off the rip. Depends on what kind of challenge comes out of SRG. And SRG try to stay as unified as they can. And then Juno's going to watch maybe this mid-walk from Noya. That's an important cutoff that can open up a flank. Meanwhile, WADA just march on to the site, pave their way towards a round win and a potential comeback. And not much to say back from SRG. A flawless round at that for WADA. It's a huge statement.
Yeah, and they're still seeing here that Juna is continuously lurking and flanking. And thankfully, they've continued to identify that this time on an eco. I wouldn't be surprised now if you're going to try to punish Juna a little bit more and maybe bring a buddy system with somebody working towards middle, somebody working towards B. And it seems that it may be the case. You're playing a 2-2-1 this time around in round number 21 for SRG, and you're trying to find the early information on the side of Sarah first. I wouldn't be surprised if she darts for info and then tries to see how you react here for WADA right after.
Now a slower default.
There you
Just
go.
the spray down. Just marking Juna early. So no second, or no plan B, no optional play for WADA. They're going to go for a 2-2 split. And this is not how you wanted to start the round if you're WADA.
Yeah. Now they want a drone here to try to fake the pressure towards this B site. So doubling up trying to maybe go for a wall in a res, so you start pulling rotates over here. And as they do this, and the drone on the A side doesn't clear anybody, look at this rotate coming back out from SRG. They were trying to pull Sarah on the other side to help towards that B side, but because of the wall for the res instead, there's no way to like have a clear path to move towards B. So SRG reads that the re-hit is coming back from WADA towards his A site.
Now to cross in front of this was KJ Utah on the other side of the Viper's wall. Power picks away with the Hunter's Fury. At least clears the low ground. Still the back rafters to worry about. And Sarah, the rest of SRG, this backline reinforces, and WADA run head first
30 seconds left
into the defense of SRG that seemed so impenetrable before. Donut's left in a 1 versus 2. With the lockdown too, they're real scared of Donut, and she's happy to sit this one out.
She's got to sit it this time around here for the side of Astralis. She can't peek.
Oh
No.
Yeah, Donut had the read on that player, and seeing the gun drop. Has not seen anyone try to swing her yet, so just has to find where that second person is, which probably playing for main. Time is running out. Donut tries to execute, and Wade power picks away. Kind of chokes under pressure, uses the util, and Donut knocks her out cold, but time is what matters, like you said, and WADA get up to double digits. A good effort out of Donut, though.
WADA has been doing a great job to just fight with pressure in these A-side execs. Remember when I told you that WADA has been playing a 2022 Fnatic comp? Astralis is literally playing like Alphayer. She's moving forward with the rest of the team like Alphayer does, and plays the KJ like a duelist. Just comes in, does the instant trades if he's on site, or they're on site as well. Or I was talking even with Alphayer, but then Astralis, when she moves on site with the rest of the team, she could just place the nanoswarms, place anchor within the site. You don't really care about the flanks so far as of yet, because you haven't been pressured by too much SRG flanks for now when they've been playing the defensive side. So I think the second timeout is now trying to be a little bit more proactive with the player advantage that you're gaining here out of Shopify Rebellion, and maybe utilize better utility to find and get better reads in these moments.
This is so close, though. I was expecting the competition to be really tight in Game Changers, but not beat SRG in week 2 of Swiss close. Like, WADA are definitely proving to all of us that they deserve the respect. Of course, they already did with the kickoff champion, being the kickoff champions, but no one really knew if anyone could hold a candle to SRG, and I would say this is the biggest challenge SRG have had since Challengers.
For sure. In this year, 100%. Last year, there was only one team really chasing their heels, being FlyQuest Red, but now you have WADA in the mix as well. Things are looking to shape up to be quite competitive here for Game Changers in North America this year. I love it. I love what I'm seeing so far. And now in round number 22, WADA is back on the attack, but look at the different type of setup that you have. They're all staying towards the spawn because of the lore buy that you have to Shopify Rebellion. And Donut has an op in this round. That's such a big investment.
Yeah.
Oh, just
it works.
The peak. It totally works. Astralis usually has just been hanging towards spawn and usually only walks down mid when there's more support. You got an early pit from Mel over on the right side and walled off on the left side. Alexis keeps WADA really stuck. Not much to see off that owl drone either. So WADA may just have to wait for the harbor wall to expire or to try and push this pit, and how deep it is gonna be a tough task.
But this is a big Hail Mary as well for WADA. Trying to take down Mel in her pit so they could just answer back with their own Viper's pit on the pulse plant. They're going to try to enter this with 20 seconds left and an op in hand of Starbound with the rest of the util. The recon dart, you're hoping that it's going to land inside the pit and they get the kill.
I think that our ops turned into like a cypher cam there. That was really cool. And then you have 7 seconds for the plant. The Hunter's Fury pushback from Sarah. Oh, got a lot of pings there. That's good information for SRG to think about even poking out of their own pit. Now there's 2 pits. A lot to worry about. WADA just have to protect the spike and stay within it. On the outside, Starbound wants to catch SRG, leaving their pit and to take down Mel. Cancels the defensive pit. Now Donut has to go for a big play and manages to shut down Jonah. No Viper's pit left. PowerPixel and Femboy hemorrhaging, hoping to protect the spike for any more seconds. But it's SRG that just execute just in time to defuse.
Dude, Donut is insane in these rounds again. Beautiful shots coming through. Blade Storm available. That was the key thing as well, outside of the op that she bought going into the round. A high-risk investment. It was such a nice pivot coming out from WADA to go for a counter pit where it's not being covered by the side of SRG. And somehow, well, not somehow, just unfortunately couldn't hold against a refled from SRG, even when they dropped the pit out from Mel's side. Now SRG are at map and series point. Silver lining for WADA with that plan still has some money to work with to gather out some sort of buy. And Starbound's one away from a duel false over here.
Drone's getting a lot of freedom for PowerPixel.
Oh, wait.
But it's unfortunately... I don't know if they did. Oh.
Oh, no, you
want to play? Let's play.
Good catch from Astralis. Getting vision in mid on that window. So SRG just need to play off of this op contact. Stononut watches the approach. And it's just not necessarily looking at one angle, it's just really patrolling, and WADA start to cascade in, and Donut has to dash and scurry out. WADA knocking at their front door. Can't afford to drop this off, but WADA can't afford to drop this spike. It's match point, series point, and it's a 3 versus 2 for the defense. What a good. The tables have been evened up from Astralis. A Starbound. This is Slot already some. Looks for more. Just Sarah left.
30
on the
seconds
back
left.
end. Spike has been down. Manages to take control of the tower. Sees the approach. The 1-2. No, denied by Astralis. Getting their 4th kill of the round 2. Wanted to hope to get to overtime.
Astralis has been insane again here for WADA. Another 4K somehow on this map, but an important 4K in round number 23 to force this into the last round of regulation. Dude, that was so good looking out here for SRG, and an opportunity for Donut to get the first blood when she was never pinged out by the Owl Drone. I'm pretty sure that the Owl Drone should have seen her, but I think it was missed by PowerPixel. It was never pinged out. And with that op shot missing, you saw the flood coming in from WADA. Crucial fight being won, and now they want to change the tempo. A wall up to fight towards middle, and it's stopped by Noya. There's a gap in it.
Oh, gap, and yeah, Noya has shut down them before going through this path. And WADA, mistake that's been exposed, and especially on a mixed buy, you still have the hero up, but it's Starbound, a big win over Noya, so she can watch over the spike if it ever gets planted, and it may be up to Starbound to make the big play coming from behind. Now, but WADA are getting pressured by Alexis. Alexis feeling so confident in that 1v1. Speaking of 1v1s, there's a lot of them to try and win. Shuna doesn't want to peek at 12 HP, and Starbound finally makes her presence known behind in Snowman. SRG
That's
have to turn around.
Plant. A-side plant coming through because of that kill. They know what the last 2 players are at.
And PowerPixel just tried to dodge the 1v1 against Alexis, managed to rotate all the way over to A. Juna can get a big cutoff on rotations. Wait, Donut's the last one? This should have been an SRG round. And now, it's not as guaranteed. If there's anyone who can clutch this, it's Donut. 12 HP, Hunter's Fury to have to go up against with only just the 1 dash. Now goes above and beyond, knows the source of the Hunter's Fury. PowerPixel didn't expect the bird in the sky. And it's Donut. Doesn't want to be extinct anymore. Big finish for the duelist extraordinaire. A 4K to give SRG the win in round 2 and to go 2-0 in our standings.
What? That is the hugest clutch coming out here in this series for Donut.